Leather is a staple of the wardrobe. However, for both traditional and plastic alternatives, its carbon footprint is significant. But innovation is making its way from the laboratory to the runway. This year, 2 scientists received an Inventor of the Year award for work that could vastly reduce the waste generated from the clothes we wear. They were credited with creating technologies that unearth nature's potential. To put that in perspective, last year's winners were the scientists behind the mRNA technology used in COVID vaccines. Jamie Wax met up with this year's winners and the co-founders of Allbirds to get the story behind a sneaker that is brand new in more ways than one. Jamie, good morning. I can't tell you, have Allbirds on there?
Yes, Allbirds. I mean, good morning, Dana. It's good stuff. Just last month, Allbirds launched Pacers, a product years in the making and a big step towards a greener future in fashion.
4 years ago on a quiet street in San Francisco, Allbirds co-founders Tim Brown and Joey Zwillinger opened this store, hoping to disrupt the fashion industry in style, and just as importantly, in substance.
I believe it's a zero carbon emission wool.
From wool produced through regenerative farming practices in New Zealand, to harnessing eucalyptus tree fibers for its sneakers, Allbirds has been redefining fashion forward.
What are some of the challenges using new materials?
The whole industry has had a focus on plastics and synthetics now for going on 50 years. And all of a sudden you're trying to bring a new material, a new supply chain into a new product. And we've been around 5 years.
Leather is one of the most common materials in shoes. Zwillinger understands why.
It breathes. It's like, naturally weather resistant. It bends nice when you walk and it feels good. And that's a very high bar.
But leather is made from cattle hides, with animal agriculture responsible for roughly 20% of all greenhouse gases. And both traditional and vegan leather alternatives are manufactured using petrochemicals, adding another layer of toxicity.
And you look out into the world of alternatives to bovine leather, and there's not a lot out there.
As a certified B Corporation fully committed to climate-friendly business practices, Allbirds has had to walk the walk on sustainability, leaving any kind of existing leather off the table, until now.
So how excited are you to put this into wide use?
I mean, super excited.
When we met in November, the pair gave us a sneak peek of the all plant-based leather alternative being used on an exciting new sneaker line. Now, 10 months later, Allbirds has launched its Pacers, available in the alternative leather called Mirum.
We scoured the earth for the best alternatives that we could find from this, and we uncovered a group that was innovating in our backyard.
The brand synonymous with Silicon Valley found what they were looking for in Peoria, Illinois.
If you can mold and shape nutrients to make performance materials, then the whole world's different.
Where 7 years ago, Luke Haverhals founded Natural Fiber Welding, or NFW.
If the molecule's relatively small and not so complex,
Haverhals, a PhD in chemistry, was researching at the U.S. Naval Academy until an epiphany brought him home to the Midwest.
the most complex, high-performance materials people know about are not the synthetic ones. They're natural. And yet we make so many things out of synthetics. So why? You can mold and shape polyethylene, polyurethane, polystyrene, polyester effectively into things that work for you in your everyday life. No one had invented the suite of technologies so that it would work with the abundant, redundant, diverse natural nutrients.
In other words, plants. Nature, Haverhals says, is actually 1,000 times more productive than chemicals.
All right, this material, think of this as a dough.
NFW uses the byproducts of nature's bounty, materials like cork and natural rubber. Yes, there is all natural rubber from trees.
What a lot of people will do is they'll look at this waste and they'll say, how could I mix this with plastic to get something? And natural fiber welding comes along and says, let's not use the plastic part. Let's figure out how to mix these things together.
The leather industry, no one has any of this stuff.
In the case of plant leather, he's got Aaron Amstutz to thank.
And I just love inventing.
NFW's Chief Technology Officer, who created Mirum 4 years ago this month. He took us inside the factory where natural materials are fed into an industrial mixer, sheeted out, and then cured under heat and pressure.
How difficult is the aspect of color with this?
So surprisingly tough, because the color isn't a thin coating over the top. The color is integral to the recipe. If I put cork powder in, the natural color will be brown. If I put lots of rice hulls in, the natural color would be tan. This happens to be clays and talcs. They give it that off-white hue.
Along with sneakers, NFW is working with a host of brands, including BMW, which hopes one day to use Mirum for car interiors, including seats. To make sure the material is viable, it runs tests for features ranging from durability to exposure to climate.
Ralph Lauren released this hoodie, and fabrics like this are produced on machines like you see here.
In addition to plant leather, NFW has developed a textile line it calls Claris, which fuses natural fibers to mimic a moisture-wicking synthetic.
Now the fiber is in that format that the plastics normally can take on and be in.
But it feels like cotton.
But it doesn't just feel like cotton, it is cotton.
You may say he's a dreamer, but he's not the only one.
There have been a number of leather alternatives coming to the market in the last few years.
Rachel Cernansky covers sustainability and fashion for Vogue Business.
There's Milo from Bolt Threads. There's the Ecovative material.
Water repellent and biodegradable.
There is MycoWorks, which is partnering with Hermes. So the optimistic view is that they are doing these small tests to see what works in anticipation of scaling them up.
It's amazing that all of this is plant-based, all of this.
So here's a foam that's no petrochemicals, no plastics.
Haverhals hopes to make a fully biodegradable sneaker.
So when you have foam and you have a sole, you can make a nutrient shoe. That's a thing that's coming out a little later this year.
One you can run through a shredder and safely sprinkle right back into the earth.
Because the moment that any brand, let alone some of the big brands, start making nutrient things, then it's kind of like you can't not make a nutrient thing, right?
That's been Allbirds' goal from its founding. And with Mirum and other natural materials on the horizon, they think the sky's the limit.
People still, for the most part, they want better products. That's our goal. The way we unlock all that value is through sustainable innovation. The opportunity ahead of us, it's like almost infinite.
How cool is that?
This is amazing.
You know, you think about athletic shoes. I mean, we have kids, all of us, and you are very involved in sports. Like, you think about all the athletic shoes you've thrown away.
Right.
My son alone.
Right.
And the fact that they're made of so many components that will never, ever go away. But these, like, we're getting to the point where we can
feel really
you can
good.
shred this and nourish a tree.
Oh, yeah. That's,
It feels great.
It does feel cool.
I mean,
like,
and you just think about, we were talking about your dress, like if you could make a dress out of something like that. Look, I know.
Yeah, it's faux leather. It's spandex,
But is it
polyester.
leather?
So I am not biodegradable here, but
You are biodegradable. The dress
But this
not.
is the wave of the future.
you are biodegradable. You can't eat it, though.
No, well, it's plant-based. I guess
Shred
you
it.
could. Charlie
Shred it
Chaplin
later,
style.
then you can-
down. Try it out, babe.
It's still breakfast.